Hi guys, this is Sarge from PaymentEye, and I'm joined today by CEO and founder of Invapay, Sid Vasili, and he's here to tell us a little bit about Invapay and himself in the payment space today. How are you today, Sid?
I'm really well, Sarge. Thanks very much. Thank you for asking.
Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure.
So just to start, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
A little bit about myself. I'll try and précis and keep it rather short because I can carry on for a little while. But I've spent the last several years in effectively finance, procurement, payments optimization and outsourcing. So my whole life has been about helping our customers, both local and global, actually get best value out of their systems and solutions, meet compliance, ensure that the audits are in place, and also to work with their suppliers so that they actually meet their terms of contract. So it's been a really exciting journey for us. Great.
And how does Invapay tie into that?
Well, as I've been in the outsourcing business for several years, and in 2005 my original business was acquired by Bottomline Technologies. And I worked with the Bottomline folks for over 2 years in a transitional role globally. And when I retired, I suppose that's the right term, in 2007, I decided that, there were certain elements of the process and our service delivery that we actually had with our global clients that actually could do with a little bit of rethink, and a radical rethink, and maybe a bit of disruptive rethinking. And so I developed the Invapay platform to actually fulfill a particular challenge for organisations, whether they're global, whether they're local, whether they're private or public sector organisations. And so the platform is evolved to deliver optimised solutions that actually helps our customers manage a lot of the non-strategic spend going through their organisations, to improve the relationship between payables and procurement, and more importantly to actually help the buying organisation meet their cash management objectives and accelerate payments to their supply base. So it's a multifaceted platform which is designed to actually deliver benefits not only to the buyer but also to the supplying community as well.
The words disruptive and optimize are words that we're seeing increasingly more of in the space at the moment. And you'd say Invapay certainly falls into that category.
Well, we believe so. I mean, there's been, when we look at finance, accounting and procurement, they're fairly traditional processes and they're pretty sequential. And the biggest challenge with all these solutions is people's behaviour and trying to manage people's behaviour within a fairly restrictive environment. People being people tend to be a little more creative than that. And so in consequence, we're finding that a lot of the transactions that are flowing through organisations may not actually meet compliance. Not on the basis they're fraudulent, but it's just that they haven't gone through the same sequential processes, which may have been fit for purpose 10 or 15 years ago, but in today's marketplace, people's buying habits have changed, the way they interface personally with the retail online market. They want a similar experience in the business. And of course, looking at all of those elements and then actually applying a service layer that actually fulfills the individual's requirements for immediate gratification in terms of goods and services delivered on time at a price that meets their budget and so on and so forth, means there's quite a demand culture. And then on the other side, from the buying organisation, is having those controls in place, albeit seem a bit more on the latent side in our platform, but actually control the whole environment and process. And so in consequence, we're seeing a huge shift. And I get your point about optimisation. There's also the word innovation and all the other pieces that people bandy around. But we're looking at a true sense of actually improving the service delivery. We're looking at a true sense of changing buyers' behaviour. We're looking at a true sense of changing the behaviour between the supplier and the buyer. And also, in addition to that, actually having a payment layer that actually brings all of these elements together. So it is pretty disruptive on the basis those traditional processes may not be fit for purpose today. Not in all organisations, but in a lot of organisations they're sort of stuck in the 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, and yet we're in 2014 and we're actually still utilising systems that were developed 10 years ago. So that's what I mean about disruption, having a look at a process, having a look at it, and is there a better way of doing things? Is there a more dynamic way of doing things? Can we turn these things on the head and then and just create a much better environment for all stakeholders in the transaction to get the best value, which includes the banks as well.
Yeah, who have been increasingly slow to catch up.
Well, I think they've, from a regulation standpoint, I think they're rather hamstrung, and I don't blame the banks. They're very large organisations. They have to meet the regulatory environment. They have to also deliver assurance to both the buying public as well as business that they do actually have solutions. The challenge for them is the agility or the lack of agility, and for them being able to make those decisions. And we're seeing that the buying organisation speed of change is far greater than the bank's ability to keep up with that change. So it's incumbent on companies like us to actually bridge the gap between those two, provide all the assurance, the regulation and everything else that's necessary, but also the agility of service delivery.
Fantastic. And kind of since the conception of Invapay, what's the past year been like for the company? Because you've had a quite an eventful year.
Oh, it's been really exciting for us. We've had major partnership agreements with people like Calix, with SunGard Public Sector in the United States, which is a really huge boost for us in terms of the sense that our technology is fit for purpose beyond our shores. So that's really very exciting for us. And latterly, with the work that we're doing in the Middle East and Far East, it seems that we're getting more traction outside of our home market, which is very good for the balance of payments and the economy, rather than we are experiencing onshore. So our work with SunGard Public Sector is a huge boost to us in terms of our footprint and our capability in the United States, because it delivers to us 780 public sector organisations utilising our platform, which to us is a huge accolade.
That's fantastic. And with that obviously comes huge levels of volumes of transactions which you're processing. And so how has the company adapted to that?
Well, during the original design process, we was looking at building scale into the operation, because that was really a very, very important part. Having come from a process background, processing millions and millions of transactions, we felt that we needed to design and develop a platform that can sustain huge scale. The team that I have with me were the team that I actually had in my previous business, so they're very trusted, they've been with us a long time. We all think very, very similarly in terms of service delivery and delivering optimised solutions. I use that word optimise, or innovative solutions to our customers, so that they actually get the best value out of utilising us. And so in consequence, we have a huge partner called Rackspace that manages all of our infrastructure for us across the world, which is really quite a fantastic move from our perspective. Whereas in our old business, everything was in-house, and today the cloud is where it's at, so we might as well utilise the technology and the efficiencies and the cost base that the cloud delivers.
Right.